Hey everybody, welcome to Truth Tuesday over on my channel. We just finished first half over on Lisa's channel. Links below to her channel. You can head over there and check it out. So now we are here. Let me make sure we're live and
Al 130 jaar del Calvani di smaak van la dolce.
it was an ad, so
Oh, interesting.
now it says I'm not signed in, so hold on. There we go. So now it says it says we're live. Okay, cool beans, man. All right, welcome. Nice to see everybody. Who do we got? Greg Gazoo.
I saw you mention something on some platform that we're friends on about Texas getting its own stock exchange.
Yeah, which to me is a very, very big deal. There's a couple things. One thing that nobody talked about. People, I mean, the right wing media news talked about it. Some YouTubers talked about it. Like, yay, we won. It was Tractor Supply and their DEI thing.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know what I'm talking about?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. That was bigger than Bud Light. That was bigger than anything that anyone.
Well, apparently, John Deere's doing some of it too.
Well, but this is no. I mean, what they did, how they backed down, because the letter that they put out said we're not going with DEI. Basically, it said we're not going to give money to these people anymore. Blah blah blah. But they said we're not going to do any DEI stuff anymore. They said in this letter, we don't care about that credit score anymore. We don't care. They're like, we're pulling away from the whole new hierarchy. You know, the whole reason why Disney, they say Disney, everybody, the whole reason we do try to get this DEI score is because BlackRock and these people own everything, and we have to do it for them. So if we don't have this DEI score, we'll die eventually. They'll kill us. So we're more scared of them than we are of our customers. And Tractor Supply said, no, we're not having anything to do with them. We don't care. So and nobody talked about that part of the letter, how they do not care about the score anymore. That was a huge thing. But okay, so biggest thing Texas needs before it can become a legitimate country would be a stock exchange. Like every other major financial powerhouse country has a stock exchange. And they're moving it here. Patrick Bet-David, Value Team, always talk about, the quality.
They're moving it here, or they are opening their own.
They're opening their own.
Okay.
But yeah, there's the moving thing that comes into play. So they're going to open. Texas is going to have a Texas stock exchange. Which, like I said, is a very huge thing. And I'm good friends with the guy, the former CEO of Chicago Stock Exchange, the head of the compliance for the Chicago Stock Exchange. This is huge. This really is huge. So, but here I'm talking about trying to talk about the shift of everything. What NASDAQ put out is if you want to be on the NASDAQ Stock Exchange, the New York Stock Exchange. I'm not 1,000% sure on everything with the New York Stock Exchange, but NASDAQ put out these DEI guidelines. Your corporation has to have at least one woman on the board, has to have at least, if it's over a certain size, it has to have at least 2 marginalized people on the, and it was basically the stock exchange, which is just a, stock exchange, is telling all these major companies how they have to run it at a top level.
Wow.
In order to function. And that's not how capitalism works, period. But that is detrimental to success of a company. When you start saying, hey, we have to do this instead of having the best people in these positions. So imagine if, and you can look at Tesla. Tesla is like one of the things that's holding, NASDAQ together. If you want to buy Tesla, you go through, you're buying through NASDAQ. All the tech, that's what made it, is all the tech stocks were listed on the NASDAQ exchange. That's where they all were to start out. It was a risky thing, but now that's why it's so huge. So imagine if Elon moved the company to Texas, but now he moves off of the NASDAQ and moves to the Texas Stock Exchange.
Yeah, just a couple of big companies would really damage them, I would think.
Well,
what is the big one? NVIDIA or whatever?
Some of the big companies, BlackRock, Vanguard, all of those, like the ones who own everything, are like, we probably do need to put some of our assets over here. It's like Bitcoin. When everyone's finally, we should put like 1 or 2%. So it's a shift. They're like, this didn't work. This way, we started out with good intentions. You can even say that, but it was a bad thing. And that's another thing. People don't want to look at the real. It was Matt Gates it was amazing. So he's talking to this venture capital company, whatever. It was insurance company. It's like, what's your job? It's like, we want to get the best return for our customers, and the best return for our stockholders, and the best return for our teachers or whatever, have 401ks, and like, here's your DEI, these principles and these things that you're doing. Is that good for? He's like, yeah, absolutely. We think that diversity makes the best thing, and here we're getting best returns for it. He goes, what do you do? You're just saying that, though. But do you have any, cite me some studies that show that? It's like, oh, there's tons. Like, well, just give me one. But there's hundreds. Well, okay, just one. That it's good. And then the guy's like, look, and Gates is like, look, XYZ company, guy, you gotta just tell me something. And he's like, okay, you know what? I got XYZ company, I got this report here. And it says that people that follow the DEI, blah, 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 over this study found that like 30% less return. And he was like, I'm not familiar with that study. So there's hundreds of studies. He goes, you know who did this study? XYZ company guy. XYZ company.
Right.
And the guy was like, oh fuck. It's like, yeah, your company did this study. So you can talk about that. There's stuff that this is your company.
Right.
So how now what do you say? And the guy was like, that meant that, like, it was hilarious. I would never be on the board of directors. Cool bracelet. Let's see your bracelet.
Oh, I put on this little white. It's white and silver beads.
Cool.
They're like little pearls, I guess, and silver beads. It's very old.
Very puka. Did you?
No, it's not puka.
It looks puka. Did you see the shark attack in Texas?
I heard there were several, and that one was bad enough to like take a chunk out of the lady's leg.
Yeah, it was
There
a
were several at Padre.
friend of mine posted. Well,
Was it Corpus?
there, and that's okay. I hate sharks. You know, I hate sharks. I always hate
I know
sharks.
you have a story about it.
I have 2 stories about it. Okay, one is when I fought it. Other one is when the hammerhead came out of the water trying to get me twice, and I lost my shoe.
You
And
lost
my mom
you got
beat
in trouble.
my ass.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for losing your shoe.
Because I was like, I was running from a shark that was on the land, and the mud took my shoe. I think that a lot of drownings and missing people are shark. That you get eaten by sharks, but that's a different thing. But I watched another video. It was a same kind of thing. Crazy. This was a swordfish.
The irony is that last week was Shark Week
Yeah.
on Discovery Channel. That was when all those shark attacks were happening.
But I think but also in Florida there was a bunch of weird stuff, and this one sawfish was coming out of the water trying to get this dog and trying to get these people, and it was insane. It was coming out on the land and like and then going back in the water and then disappearing, and they'd like walk back with their phones like, do you see? And then it's like almost gets their feet.
Oh my god!
It was something weird is going on.
I didn't see that, but I would love to see that video.
Also, I'll bring this up, and you guys should look into it because I haven't looked into it yet. But I did have my spidey sense when I saw something about it. You know, Alaskan king crab, the big crabs.
Mm-hmm.
They've canceled the fishing for 3 years. 93% of all the crabs are gone, disappeared. And for 3 years they didn't think it was real. They didn't understand. And scientists have just said that there's something with climate control that killed something that they ate, and they all disappeared in 3 years. That almost 95% of the population.
Because of climate change.
Yeah, something with climate change killed one of their food source. So they all disappeared and died. Just like crazy. They're gone.
Interesting.
It just felt off when I heard that. But a lot of small fishing places are shutting down. And they said they go there, you drop your traps, there's nothing. And then these scientists had to look and see that they're all gone. They're not dead. They're washing up some places like other things. They're just gone. And I was like, I immediately just, tinfoil hat thought, wow, they killed almost all the Alaskan king crab to support that and to push a narrative. That is, and also to take away a big food source. Pretty bad. So also, here we go. So what I want to talk about is, I don't know if everyone's familiar with the Mandela effect. Everyone familiar with the Mandela effect? What do you know about the Mandela effect?
That's like the Berenstein Bears thing.
No, I think it's Berenstein, actually, because you can ask them.
I just said Berenstein, but that's an example of it, right?
No.
Then people grow up and then they go back and then they see somebody shows them a book where it's spelled the other way or whatever.
Right, but everyone says Berenstein Bears, but they're really Berenstein. But something would be like, remember Lipton tea when they do the splash?
Yes.
Tea splash? Yeah, like pools didn't exist.
Yeah.
It's something like that never happened. That whole ad campaign. Or like when if you go into work and your friend's talking about, remember that old lady? She said, "Where's the beef?" And you're like, "Oh, the McDonald's commercial. Where's the beef?" And the guy's like, "Yeah, the McDonald's commercial. I love that. Where's the
Wendy's
hamburger?" And you're like, "No, it's Wendy's." And they're like, "No, it's McDonald's." And then literally half the office like it's McDonald's. And they start talking about how things in the commercial were the hamburger would come out and like goose the woman's butt or something. I mean, they have this completely different thing. Okay. That's the Mandela effect, where people believe 100% that this happened.
That new narrative.
Yeah. And so I saw this, and it was weird because
It is very weird.
if you grew up in the 80s,
He'll come back because he really wants to show you this. I'm not going to even tell you what it is. But I don't know why he just cut himself off.
see, I don't want to.
There he is. He's back.
I don't want me talking about this.
He's back. Okay, show him.
This is a serious thing.
Blow their mind.
If you grew up in the 80s, you know that like MTV was like the thing.
Mm-hmm.
So this is Michael Jackson video. Beat It. Seen it a million times. The reason for the new wave, the second invasion of British pop, is because MTV was so huge and so popular so fast. There wasn't enough like American artists making videos. So they're like, hey, let's just go get a bunch of these European weirdos that nobody knows about, and just start showing their stuff. And that's how Flock of Seagulls and all these other people became huge names, because there just was not time to fill. And yeah, like Luke, I am your father. That supposedly was never said.
Yeah, I've heard that.
So that's one. That is one.
Yeah.
C3PO 2 cold. That's it. That's a joke. Okay. Let's talk about genitalia supposedly. Yes, I know.
No, don't talk about that.
Yeah, that is. I did want to. There was something I wanted to talk about, but it's about.
You can talk about it with someone else.
It's using your genitalia. It's like about. It was about how stupid people are.
None of my damn business about any of that. I don't want to hear it.
Well, how easy it is to lie to people when you just put a little bit of like something common sense with it, something that makes sense, and be like, oh, okay, yeah, okay, and it just, So, if you look at this picture of Michael Jackson, there's no holes in the pool tables. And as many times I saw that video, we would have talked about it. We talked about how many zippers were on his jacket. We'll count them. We talked about everything. I mean, we picked we watched this intensely so many times. We knew everything about it. Talked about stuff. Everything that has to do with it. Why are there no holes in any of the pool tables? It's very weird. So this is something that is part of the Mandela effect.
Could it be like, isn't there a thing called like bumper pool or snooker or something like that, where they don't have holes in the pool table? It looks like a pool table, but it's not actually a pool table. Like where they use smaller tables to make Michael look bigger than he is or something.
No, bumper pools, bunch of bumpers, and they still have, you use the balls to bump up the little like towers to go into the holes.
Okay.
But so here we go. Let's go this thing here. Does this look weird to anyone?
The squirrely thing on the
squirrely thing on the F.
Yeah.
This has always been the way it is. The squirrely thing has always been there forever and ever.
Really?
Yeah. And here's where the interesting thing happens. Because now, with the Mandela effect, there is so many things rigged. So there's so many people that agree with the other side of it. That this swirly thing wasn't there. That was not there. That they can go out and find proof that this was it.
No, that doesn't look right at all.
This looks right to me. It's just a straight line.
Oh, but that whole logo is wrong.
It's the same logo. This is just old. This is an old logo. But it was this is a little squiggly. They say it's always been there, always been the squiggly, and we're like, no. Now, here's the interesting thing. This is Fruit of the Loom.
I've seen this one too.
Okay, so this is where it gets very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So this is the Fruit of the Loom logo, and it started on TikTok or somewhere. This person said this used to have a cornucopia behind it, behind the Fruit of the Loom logo.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people are like, yeah, I remember that. I remember that there was 3 balls and no pockets.
I just remember the commercials with the guys all dressed like fruit.
Fruit, yeah. But I remember.
I don't remember.
One of the reasons I remember it because they were so funny. And I grew up then up in the north. It was very northern, like it was obvious that was filmed in New York, not on the East Coast or West Coast. But anyway, there was a cornucopia. I remember there was a cornucopia behind it. So this became a Mandela effect thing that everybody talked about. Okay. And it became such a big deal that Fruit of the Loom came out and said, no, we've never had a cornucopia in the back. This is a fake thing. This is wrong. See the R for the registered trademark? Yeah, that's wrong. So they put this out. These are all of our logos that we've used since inception back in the 1800s. Fruit of the Loom, Fruit of the Loom, Fruit of the Loom. This one, when I was a kid, I know that there was a cornucopia to current. But then a person found proof. They found actual clothing, not just the picture, but they found clothing with it on there, like an old vintage thing.
Mm-hmm.
I actually don't know, Gazoo. You're going to make me go insane.
I don't think there was a guy dancing in the cornucopia. But Greg Gazoo thinks he remembers that, so I don't know. I don't remember that.
I can't say no. But now we're getting way past the fact that there a cornucopia. It's like we all agree there was a cornucopia. But there are people, and the company itself said that it didn't exist. And then now there's
why? What does that motivate? What benefits them to
good
lie
question?
About
a good question. That's what you should ask. But there's one more that we can talk about here. This Volkswagen.
Well,
I remember this when I was younger, and this I remember now. I think is the more modern one, right?
I don't know.
Well, supposedly this has never existed. Even there was the special symbol during the Nazis. That was these were kind of made by
Hitler to be the people's car.
No, but these were like the SS things, lightning bolts. And he turned a certain way, and it was a different thing. Oh. But it still never had a connection. It was always broke. And I remember that this was, especially on the car, it's a lot easier to make a mold of something solid than to have that cut.
To keep my eye out when I'm watching old car videos.
Yeah. So that is
very interesting.
A lot of interesting and weird stuff. Now, like you said, why would they lie? I don't think that they lied. Now, here is the thing for you, because I want to ask you. This is the idea. The idea of why this, and this didn't happen before. That's why it's the Mandela effect. It didn't happen until later in our lifetimes. After a company called CERN started doing stuff. And what was the big fear that everyone had about CERN?
It was gonna. Well, the collider thing was turning on, or whatever, the particle collider and all that.
And it could create a microscopic black hole.
Yes, the black hole.
And
Okay. Yes, I remember that story.
Build the Earth, and we'd all be destroyed.
Yes.
So there have been scientists that have whistleblown or come out and said they did it. They did create microscopic black holes. They didn't destroy the Earth. Because the idea we had of a black hole, because it's been theoretical forever and ever, is that it's like a blob, like the monster of the blob. It's small, but it starts killing stuff and eating everything. It gets bigger and bigger and bigger. You can't really do anything. If you shoot it, it eats the bullets and it gets bigger. So it grows.
Okay.
So everyone thought, hey, if it creates a microscopic black hole, it'll just grow and grow and grow until it eats the whole place, then eat the town, and then we're done. Then it's going to just eat the Earth. But they said what happened is they created microscopic black hole, and it was microscopic, and it went in, it imploded on itself. And they did it like 3 or 4 times. But it's a massive amount of power, and it might actually do what we thought it did, but it destroyed a reality or knocked us over to and this is where the whole thing about physics and all comes in, where that there's all these realities that are, every decision you make makes a new reality, so on, so on, so on. That it knocks us over to one that's right next to us, where everything is almost identical. There's just little things. It's barely, we can't tell the difference. Your husband's still your husband, your kids are your kids, everything's the same. But your kid has his earring, and everyone says he's had his earring for 3 years. Like, no, he never had an earring, and they think you're insane.
Mm.
But I mean, it's just something like that. But we don't. It's the next reality over from our own, so it's so close that it's only these little weird things, like pop culture, huge icons, things that everyone's like, that's odd. I don't remember that. I remember it this way. And there's enough people with the collective consciousness that's like,
that can see that it's different.
Yeah, and you're the big CERN person and all that kind of thing, which I think you know more about. And I want to talk to Rose and them about it, but that's what I thought was kind of mind blowing.
It is kind of mind blowing. I don't have a lot to say about it. Warrior says Project Looking Glass, which I've heard a lot.
What's Project Looking Glass?
Oh gosh. So
is that the Sears?
The blue beam thing. I think it's a thing where or like they're watching us, kind of like I think it's like the one, is it Jim Carrey that's in it? What's that movie where they Truman Show? I think that's what it's like.
Is Project Looking?
Is that right, Warrior?
Is it Project Looking Glass? Because I want, if I have money, I'm gonna make it one where they make the Fibonacci thing out of pure aluminum, pounded aluminum, and they put a person in the middle of it to get sick and feel like they're dying. But once they push through that, they can travel somewhere with their mind. Is that Project Looking Glass? Because there's also
hold on, I'm looking it up.
CIA has Project Stargate.
Multiple matches for project, a code name for U.S. Airborne Command Control Center that provides command and control of nuclear forces. More recently been called this is Operation Looking Glass, the Airborne National Command Post. Project Looking Glass is an inactive free software project under GPL to create an innovative 3D desktop environment for Linux, Solaris, and Windows. They're not giving me the one that.
Look in remote viewers, Project Looking Glass.
Why do you want me
CIA,
to say?
CIA remote viewing. Project looking less where timelines converge. Yeah, it's something.
An evaluation of the remote viewing program. You can go to CIA.government or .gov. Project Looking Glass Technology and Remote Viewing. Clairvoyant Remote Viewing Stargate Project. Yeah, that's what I thought it was, that Men Who Stare at Goats thing. That's what remote viewing.
No, remote viewing is a patent that they stole from the guy through that act. And it's very simple, but it's like unlocking a part of the mind where we can travel. And
combining 3D holographic displays with the power of generative AI. I don't know.
The remote viewing thing. So this is really weird because the CIA loss has been declassified. It worked. Like they could go and they have a guy sitting in the middle of this thing. He could go and to the middle of a council meeting in the Kremlin and watch everybody and tell them what they're talking about, what they're saying. And it worked like
a time traveling thing.
Hmm?
A time traveling thing?
No. Remote viewing. Like they could, like I could.
But it has to be present right now. It's not in the future or past.
Well, that's okay. At first, when they first started doing it, but it worked like 60% of the time, like valid data.
Okay.
But then, as the remote viewers got better and better, and the program went on, they tried to push further, and that's when they were able to see different events in time, and then one of the and this is like a big. This is a crazy thing. Then this one guy tried to push really far, and he started talking about military with aliens. Member of our military meeting with aliens and doing stuff, and then he was describing the base, and then some people got very nervous about it, and then he pulled away. It wasn't on Earth; it was on the moon.
Okay.
Then they did it again. Found like ancient stuff on Mars.
Is this all documented in the military?
A lot of stuff. Yeah, if you look up remote viewing CIA, you find a lot of stuff that's been declassified. A lot of like people that have come forth and said stuff.
I mean, I follow the crypto viewing guys, and I have friends with Edward Reardon.
It's pretty crazy, pretty interesting.
It is really interesting.
Well, we've hit about half an hour.
Yes, I'm sorry. I have to run. I've got a meeting to go to, but it's very interesting. Makes me want to go watch Truman Show.
There's a really cool channel called the Y Files, the WHY Files. And this guy, he tells you a lot of like stuff about just really
like the letter Y or WHY.
WHY.
Okay.
And he has a sidekick, little fish that talks, which annoys the shit out of me. But it's merchandise and stuff. So,
okay.
Yeah. But he tells the story like it's the story. Like the guy that's super freaking admiral, coolest dude that flew to Antarctica and said
Admiral Byrd. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tells the story, and then when it's over, he tries to debunk it. He says, well, you can debunk this, but this really can't debunk this. I actually have found, declassified documents, and was to be able to prove this and this. But when he's talking about it, he's just telling the story as it, and then in the end, like, I don't know if you ever heard of 20 and back. Well, supposedly there's always been a Space Force. There's NASA, but then there's a second space program, which is the real space program. and a lot of abductions or people go missing, they are put into that military, kind of like the Jedi. Like they're special people. They're smart. They're really
Maybe that's what happened to the Challenger people.
well, they're taken. Now they be back. So they're taken and they're put into service for these aliens as liaisons or like the United Nations, I guess, with our people we send. But it's for 20 years, and then they come back. But they're brought back to the time they left. So to them, they live 20 years. They do the service. They grow up, everything, and then they come back and they're kids again or whatever. And you can look it up. It's pretty weird.
That is really weird. I'll check it out. I do have to run though because I'm really late. So
Okay.
I will talk to you all soon. And thank you, Sean. Love you.
Love you too, y'all. Take care.
Bye.
We'll see you next Tuesday and on Thursday with Robots in your Roundtable. Check us out over on, I think Lisa streams it. On her channel. But if not, you can watch it on Robots in your Roundtable on Dragon Chain.
Bitcoin itself is a hyped up fraud. It's a pet rock.
You're back to that?
Yeah,
Really?
Of course, yeah.
But it has all the characteristics of a store of value. It's immutable. It's scarce.
Totally untrue. It's
21 million.
Well, yeah, really. How do you know it's going to stop at 21 million?
Because
I've mentioned this to people
Satoshi.
too. Everyone says that. Well, maybe it's going to get to 21 million, and then Satoshi's picture is going to come up and laugh at you all and say,